Hi, Josie.
How are you?
Good. I think your wallpaper looks really pretty.
Thank you. It's well, I can't really see it, but it's a wildflower field.
It's so pretty.
I like it a lot. It's
I
very,
love it.
calming in here now.
It's really pretty.
Thank you. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
We are here with a question from Wendy, who lives in Prescott, Arizona.
Okay.
Wendy has a teen daughter who has mild acne and is expressing interest in skincare. Good for the
Okay.
daughter. I
Yeah,
like to
good.
start her on a basic routine. What are some simple steps and products she should use?
Okay. So we have a lot of young people, of teenage folks that are using our stuff, and I kind of recommend a particular set of things to them. So I like our clarifying charcoal cleanser. You want some, they gotta wash their face, right? You gotta have something. You
Step
gotta
one.
do it. Step one. And I also, okay, so that's one. Number two is not from our brand. It's from a line called Lumion, Lumion. We'll put everything in the show notes. They have this product. I think it's called an oxygen mist. It might have changed names. It's their mist, spray mist that they have. I love it. And if your kid does sports, this also you could use after the gym too. It dis I'm going to totally use the wrong words, and I'm sure Lisa and her co-founder will listen to this. If they listen to this, they'll be like, that's not right at all. But here's the layman's gist of this product. You spray it and it has no alcohol in it, but it disinfects your face without drying it out. It's the same stuff, Josie, in a lesser amount that you use to disinfect the gym at Pure Barre.
We were just
And that
having
we
a conversation
use,
about this stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
and you
great.
recommended it to us during COVID, and we used it at Erin's face. We don't use the oxygen mist from Lumion, but we use something from Clean Republic, coincidentally, that Josie recommended to me through a fogger, and it's I think it's hydrochloric acid. I don't want to say the wrong thing.
All I
Let me
know
look.
is it doesn't have a smell, but yet it does have a smell, and the smell is like pure air.
It smells so clean.
It's so weird. It doesn't have a smell, but if you had to say it did, it's like fresh water, fresh. I love it. When I fog that
It's
place, I want to fog myself. And you're the
yes,
one who told me I absolutely could, and it'd be just fine.
you absolutely could. It's hypochlorous acid. I was wrong. Hypochlorous acid. It's HOCl. Is whatever that. I don't know. It's theater major. I
So
don't
for
know.
a
Um,
teenager who maybe doesn't want to take the time out of their busy social life or whatever to wash their face, you're saying you can keep that bacteria down.
no, I think you have to wash your face.
Okay. But
You're
like
required
midday.
to wash your face, but midday or after you play soccer or after dance class or something like that, boys or girls are not going to break out their cleanser. They're not going to break out their moisturizer. They're not going to do it, right? So I think just putting this in your gym bag, in your after school activities bag, and spray, they can go in the bathroom if they're embarrassed about it and spray their face. I don't think it's a big deal because, especially if they're acne prone, and especially if they're involved in a sport that like has something on their face, like football
Yep.
players, it like touches their face. That's a no for me. That would keep me out of the sport just without, I don't care. It's a no. um did I ever tell you the story of Daniel?
No,
I
please
would
do.
I was super breakout prone, like crazy. Like it was distracting. Like I still have challenges, but like nothing like what I had in high school and college and in much of my early 20s. And so he was not allowed to touch me with his fingers on my face. He had to turn his hand and caress me this way.
Like a soap opera caress. I like it.
He knows though, if I'm like, Daniel, you're allowed to touch my face, he's like, switch like this. Yes. To this day. Because if someone comes at me, that's the least romantic thing you could possibly do to me is be like, hey, I'd be like, ah, don't touch me.
I've never thought about that, but that's so true. Yeah, oils.
It's really hard unless you just wash your hands and then you could maybe like do a face cup like they do in the movies. but like, it's really hard for me. Okay, I'm getting very off track. But I think you do need to wash your face in the morning and the night, Miss Teenager. And I think so. I don't have it here. I have some. It's upstairs. Um, use it as a toner. So that's you're gonna spray your face after that, and then you have a separate one. I would vote in your gym bag. Okay, so you're doing that, and then I would say the Tomanu oil has been very successful for a number of teenage folks because you're needing hydration, but you're also needing not to break out. So that's something soft you can do. I would love if you were wearing a sunscreen, and you will love me if you start wearing a sunscreen now. You will love me when you're like 50. But assuming, you know, okay. So that's that. And then the same thing at night. I don't think it needs to get changed up. And then the other thing I would recommend is the clarifying green clay mask that we make. And you would only need to do a mini if you're going to use it as a spot treatment, but you can sleep with it as an overnight spot treatment or use it as a full face mask. And I will say our teenage clients tend to get the full size because they're like, no, I need to like detox my whole face.
Yeah, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I have both, and you keep one downstairs, and then I keep the little one for the night treatment
oh,
upstairs
that's smart.
because you forget. I just did it last night, and then you're upstairs by your
Yeah.
bed because you don't really need to wash if you're really careful.
No, you can just kind of like wipe it on your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
sometimes in the
That's
morning,
a good idea.
yeah, it's easy. Yeah. So
What were you going to say in the morning?
no, like in the morning, and then I can kind of just like brush it off, and it's like no big deal. You know what I mean? It's the easiest spot treatment in the world.
For me, I must put more on than you do. So for me, I need to just use like a washcloth, like a warm washcloth, let it sit for like 5, 10 seconds, and then
Maybe I
it
need to
rinses
put
off.
more on, and that's
Maybe you
what I'm
need to
going to
put
do
more on.
tonight on this one. Look at
I
that.
can't see anything
Oh,
there.
it's there. It's
I
there.
can't see it. Okay.
But
I think you look lovely.
well, I appreciate that. But I have to say, like, you and Wendy, like, what a great mom. Because I don't know about you, but like, my mom got clued into how bad my acne was, but then like went crazy about it. So there's that reaction. And then I think a lot of kids, especially boys, it's just like it's not, we're gonna ignore it or it'll go away, and they don't realize the ramifications of it's awful. So
Confidence.
good on
Yeah.
Wendy and good on you for giving people easy, tangible things to do.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. The other thing I would recommend is if you look at episode 10 with Marisa Corcoran, we talked about acne and how her family's reaction to her acne and attempted treatment of actually was really damaging for her. So I don't think asking for a simple skincare routine is damaging. I think it's great. But I think if you are a parent, that episode is, I mean, absolutely worth listening to if you have a teenager that's going through this because it's just it's a perspective into how challenging it can be and how long it can last.
Well, and I think not to prolong this question and answer thing, but you and I have this conversation all the time, but in different contexts. If you're a mom, I'm just trying to think if I had a girl and she had acne, I would go overboard. And I know that because I had it and how I felt about it. The difference is when we were young, and even worse, when our moms and dads were young, the products have changed. They are safer now. They are natural if they're using yours. We didn't have those options then. So that, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, listen to that episode because it's a totally different ballgame now. You don't need to rush off to your dermatologist and get them, suicide drugs that make us crazy because that's what we did. You know what I mean? So like,
did you take Accutane?
Like 4 times. And
really?
Like if you're pregnant, they're like, have you ever seen the back of those packages where it's like the baby with 4 arms and then in your 12, you don't know about this?
Oh, I don't know about that part.
Yeah, if you are on Accutane, you get pregnant. So there's two traumatizing things. I mean, traumatized is a strong word to use, but you have to take a urine test every time you go to the dermatologist because you can't get pregnant. So then you're there at like 15, 16, having a strange doctor who you might see like 3 times a year say if
Yeah.
you're having sex, you have to have a second form of birth control. So you have to be on birth control and take Accutane. And then you have to promise to use like a condom or whatever. And if you're someone who's not having sex, it's weird.
Yeah.
If you are, great, good for you. It's not weird, but pretty young to have like, anyway, this is
That
going off the rails.
I was definitely not having sex at 15, 16,
No,
17. So that would have made me so uncomfortable.
right. And then taking this pee, like you have to take the urine test. I don't know, there's something oddly, anyway, point being, just use the spray for God's sakes. Like
Well, I think
try,
it's worth investigating,
yes,
seeing what can you do before you feel you have to use major medication.
right. And without freaking out. Because that my point is I think it's really easy to freak out and think your kid's gonna have this terrible experience you did. It's a whole new world full of wonderful
Right.
people making things who were equally traumatized who now are
Yeah,
coming up with a solution.
that's good. That's really I think that's really helpful because I hadn't thought about that aspect of it. That's useful. Yeah,
Yes.
I remember mine was not nearly as traumatizing as yours. But I remember just everything dried you out. Like it was all benzoyl peroxide. Do you know what I mean? And so
Oh,
you were so
yes.
like just dry, flaky, and breakouts.
And you'd put it on
So
and you'd be like, oh, like it burned, but you had
sting.
to just let it happen. Like,
Yeah.
what the
I
hell?
told, did I tell, we're just going on this, but I feel like we both have a lot of experience with this. I told the mouse poop story, right? Did I tell that story one time on
You
here?
put mouse poop on your acne? Did it work?
No, 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 I didn't. But so I, this is terrible. It wasn't mouse poop. It was, okay. So I really thought I told the story, but maybe I edited it out. Um, how long? I mean, we're just going.
Just
This is a long, this
no,
is a
tell
long
it.
answer.
Say it. Say
Okay.
it.
Justin knows I don't want to do it. So one night I was getting into bed and we had a mouse that we found that had passed away in like a cabinet or something.
Wait, as an
And
adult
so
or a kid? Were
as an
you
adult,
okay?
I'm living
Okay.
in Queens, I'm living in New York City, I'm living with Daniel, and we're, together. And so so we were very like I was very tapped into something smells weird and you don't know what it is. You know what I mean? And then eventually we found the mouse and it was dead and that was sad and okay. So I'm getting into bed. I have all my like sulfur based treatment things on. And so I'm getting into bed and I'm walking into the bedroom door. Daniel's in bed already. And I was like, I think I smell a mouse again. And he was like, no. And I was like, because he doesn't smell stuff as well as I do. And I was like, I really it smells really strong. Like I don't know. It just smells really strong. And he was like, oh man, we got to look for it in the morning. And I was like, yeah. So I get into bed and he was like, I smell it too. I was like, oh, weird. And he was like, yeah. And then he kind of leaned over and he was like, I think it's your face. And I was like, well, just like mortified and embarrassed and laughing all at the same time. And it was my face.
I,
That's what it was.
I forgot about the sulfur hell. Yeah, and it was yellow.
Sulfur. Yeah. And it stung and you'd had to sit in front of a fan so your face didn't burn off.
And it was on if it got on your clothes, good night.
Oh, forget it.
Hilarious, Erin.
Yeah. So, the funny thing is I had worn this every night and it just had never clicked as a dead mouse smell until we identified a dead mouse. And then I was like, that's what it smells like. Yeah.
Ew. No, there's
Yeah.
so many better inventions now.
Yeah.
Wendy,
It's terrible. Wendy, oh my gosh. Everything I said doesn't smell like dead mouse. I mean, that can be the testimonial. Doesn't smell like a dead mouse.
we're coming up
There's
with so
that.
many great reviews, but they're
Yeah.
practical, and that's a very
They're really
practical.
practical.
Yeah.
Yeah. No dead mouse here. Okay.
Everybody
Thanks,
stay
Wendy.
safe, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, I will. Okay. Bye.
Bye.